Belize signs the United Nations Convention Against Corruption. Ministry of Foreign Affairs hosts bilateral seminar, and the Minister of Defense concludes his BDF tour. These stories and more tonight on Belize Now. Thanks so much for joining us on this Friday, December 9th. I'm Charlie Hutchinson. The government of Belize is unwavering in its promise to be a government of accountability and transparency. And on October 4, 2016, Cabinet announced that Belize would be signing the United Nations Convention Against Corruption, UNCAC. That announcement was later followed by an agreement by Cabinet in November to move straight to accession for UNCAC. So today, on the heels of International Anti-Corruption Day, the acting Prime Minister of Belize, Honorable Patrick Faber, signed the instrument of accession to be submitted to the United Nations. Our Belize Now team was present at the signing. Here's more.
Today, history was made as Belize is now a signatory to the United Nations Convention Against Corruption. The signing is just one of the steps being taken by the Prime Minister and the government of Belize in responding to their promise to the people of Belize to eliminate corruption in government and public life. Present at the signing ceremony, which took place at the Cabinet Room in Belmopan City, were members of the government of Belize and the Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry. The president of the chamber told Belize Now that they are proud to see the treaty signed as it has been on their agenda for a while.
Next, we continue to be a steering party to this entire, to finishing this treaty. This is just the beginning, actually. There's a whole heap of work that comes with it now to ensure that there's a gap analysis, to ensure that our laws are now in accordance with what the UN UNCAC asks for. And so that's the next step that we work towards. Enactment is only the start. Completing it is the next stage. And we keep insisting that the public knows that you're not going to erase corruption by signing this. It's only a framework to assist.
Minister of State in the Ministry of Finance, Honorable Dr. Carla Barnett, spoke to us about the importance of this for Belize.
Well, the signing of the United Nations Convention Against Corruption signals the commitment of the government of Belize, along with the stakeholders who are a part of the process, to improve our governance processes, to implement and strengthen laws and institutions to make our system in consonance with the United Nations Convention Against Corruption. The way the treaty works, the way the convention works, it works through national laws, national institutions. So beginning early in the new year in January, along with the United Nations Development Program and other parts of the UN system, we're going to be conducting an assessment, a national self-assessment, a gap analysis, whatever name we want to call it, that will determine where our institutions are in relation to the requirements of the treaty. So we're going to see all of the things that we need to change, any institution that is missing, anything that needs to be strengthened, any alliances that need to be made among our institutions. So we're going to do that assessment, and once that assessment is completed and we know all of the things that we need to be working on to bring our system into consonance with the convention, then we will have a plan of work that will prioritize the things to be done.
The United Nations Convention Against Corruption is a multilateral convention negotiated by members of the United Nations and is the first global, legally binding international anti-corruption instrument. Countries which sign on to it are required to implement several anti-corruption measures which may affect their laws, institutions, and practices. For Belize Now, I'm Miriam Longsworth.
On Monday, December 5th, in the city of Belmopan, a seminar was held with the participation of the Ministries of Foreign Affairs of Belize and Chile. The seminar focused on political dialogue and new horizons in Belize-Chile relations. Janelle Rodriguez has more.
It is said that knowledge is found in discussion. Well, knowledge was definitely found and exchanged on Monday as the great minds of both Belize and Chile discussed the foreign policy priorities and development goals of the countries. Foreign Minister Honorable Wilfred Elrington, who led the Belize delegation, welcomed the Chilean delegation to Belize and commended their efforts in maintaining political integrity and the development of their people.
I'm particularly happy that you have come to try to advance the relationship between your country and ours. I like to think that Chile is perhaps one of the most beautiful countries in the world, but certainly in South America. Peculiar geographic configuration, very narrow, but it has access to a vast expanse of the sea, the ocean. And I'm sure it's a country that is envied by its neighbors. And I know that you have some difficulty with your neighbors, particularly Bolivia, who is very passionate in its articulation of its grievances. But happy to say, from all accounts, you have done a masterful job in maintaining your integrity, sovereignty, and in the development of your people. You have done a tremendous, tremendous job.
Chile is an important partner in the attainment of the Sustainable Development Goals of Belize, with a strategic membership in the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD. Therefore, at the seminar, representatives from Belize were able to explore venues to further develop relations on trade and investment with Chile. The representatives included those from the Directorate of Economic Affairs, DIRECON, and Belize's Trade and Development Service, Beltrade. Both countries discussed their common views of the importance of economic growth as a means to equitable and sustainable economic development and for poverty eradication.
On behalf of Minister Heraldo Muñoz and the whole Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Chile, allow me to convey to you a message of salute and friendship to the Belizean authorities and to the people of Belize that we consider friends and allies in the attainment of the objectives of foreign policy of both countries. We are looking forward to a fruitful exchange of views with you that allow us to strengthen bilateral relations and agree on future activities to benefit our peoples.
Something that our Prime Minister said a couple of years ago at a meeting when he met with the Guatemalan president, when he said that the pencil of God has no eraser. We can't move. We have to live together, side by side. And so when I listen to you speak about the kind of cooperation that is happening between Argentina and your own country, it is something that we continue to desire here in Belize because we want to live in peace with our neighbor.
But actions speak louder than words, and the Chilean delegation definitely acted on their words as they made a donation of $50,000 that will be geared towards land reclamation programs for small farmers in Belize. The donation was handed over by Her Excellency Maria Inez Ruz, head of the Chilean delegation, and accepted by Minister of Transport and NEMA, Honorable Edmond Castro. For Belize Now, I am Janelle Rodriguez.
The Chilean delegation expressed its hope that Belizean authorities could participate in a seminar that will take place in Guyana at the beginning of 2017 that will address skills on trade negotiation agreements. In September, Honorable John Saldivar, as Minister of Defense, started a tour of Belize Defense Force command centers, bases, and camps nationwide. That tour was completed last Friday. The following is a full report on the minister's tour by contributing writer Delroy Cath-Kelvin.
In August, Honorable John Saldivar was named the Minister of Defense with responsibility for the Belize Defense Force and the National Coast Guard. With the defense of Belize's sovereignty and territorial integrity his singular focus, Saldivar set out on a national tour in early September to assess the state of readiness and effectiveness of the Belize Defense Force. Heading straight to the center of command and operations, he kicked off at Price Barracks with newly appointed CEO Lieutenant Colonel Felix Enriquez and BDF Commander General David Jones. He toured major facilities there, including the medical center, which is steadily being upgraded to meet NHI standard. After having lunch with the High Command, it was on to the Air and Maritime Wings headquartered at Philip Goulson International Airport. Still in its early stages of development, the Air Wing is upbeat, having just acquired its first pair of helicopters, complemented by a few Defender airplanes. and the maritime wing is making waves with a capable fleet of modern vessels. The minister concluded the first leg of his tour at Militia Hall on the outskirts of Belize City. Honorable Saldiva resumed his national tour in early November, heading up north to Corozal and Orange Walk, where he visited BDF bases and posts, including those involved in curbing contraband and other illegal cross-border activities. 2 weeks later, he embarked on his tour of BDF installations in the west, accompanied by BDF Deputy Commander Colonel Stephen Ortega. They started off at Camp Belisario, where after a general briefing, the minister toured major facilities and received a special briefing on international training under exercise Tropical Dagger, with participation by Jamaica, Canada, United States, and the Belize. He and his team were taken by BDF Defender airplane on a flyover of posts at Arenal, Zenantonich, and El Pilar, all locations near the western border, which were later visited on the ground. CEO Felix Enriquez rejoined the tour and the mode of transportation shifted to BDF helicopter as they were flown to observation posts near Caracol Archaeological Site, then at Valentin Camp, on to Saibo Chico, and finally Rio Blanco, where the minister and his team spent the night at that BDF camp a few hundred meters from the western border. In the morning, they were retrieved by BDF helicopter and flown back to Belmopan. 2 weeks later, the minister embarked on the final leg of his tour, taking him to BDF installations in the south. It started with a helicopter flight to the BDF camp at Machaquila, which entailed an exhausting 2-kilometer trek by foot through the jungle to the actual camp and back to the helicopter landing. Then it was on to the BDF camp at Santa Rosa, overlooking bordering Guatemalan communities. While he was there, the minister had lunch and communed with the flight crew and troops stationed on the ground. The BDF helicopter then took him to Cadenas BDF camp near the banks of the Sarstoon River, which forms Belize's southern border with Guatemala. After an official briefing, the minister and his team settled in to experience for one night what our troops stationed there endured night after night in regular stretches of 14 days. In the morning, the minister and his team made a steep and daring descent by foot from the camp on the top of the hill all the way down to its base on the banks of the Sarstoon. Security forces transported them down the river, stopping along the way to observe signs of illegal logging. They eventually made it out to sea, where a forward operating base now sits at the mouth of the Sarstoon. Having been briefed on operations and the current situation there, they continued their boat journey to the mainland at Punta Gorda. Then it was off to Fairweather Camp, where the minister toured the facilities and took off on helicopter to the BDF camp at Treetops, overlooking the bordering Guatemalan community of Santa Cruz. He ended the day with a visit to Halacte, where the BDF assists in countering illegal cross-border activities. The following day, the minister and his team traveled to Dangriga, where he completed his southern tour with a visit to the BDF drill hall. Thus ended the national tour of BDF installations countrywide, which Honorable Saldiva says is as rewarding as it was challenging.
I was very happy to be able to complete the tour. It was a very difficult trail, but it went well, and I believe that I have been able to see firsthand in much more details than previous tours what the BDF and the soldiers of the BDF go through on a daily basis in carrying out their mandate to protect the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Belize. The tour itself has really opened my eyes to the conditions under which our soldiers are being asked to perform, and I've gotten an even greater respect now for the officers of the Belize Defense Force.
Minister Saldiva said he has emerged from the tour with extra motivation to lobby for as much resources as possible to enable the BDF to better execute its functions in defense of Belize's sovereignty and territorial integrity. Honorable Saldiva intends to soon commence a similar tour of command centers and forward operating bases for the Belize National Coast Guard. Up next, more news stories. Stay with us.
Across the country, development and transformation continue under this government. The new Guanacaste roundabout at the junction of the Hummingbird and the George Price Highways is complete and one to be proud of. The George Price Highway is being rehabilitated from the Belmopan Junction to Benque Viejo. There will be a new baking pot bridge and upgrade of the Caracol Road. Also, the new Macau River bypass and bridge will be completed by March 2017. In the Belize district, the work has already started from the Hallover Bridge to the Philip Golson Airport, and funding has now been secured for the new link road to span the Belize River starting from behind Gentrack and coming out at Mile 8 on the George Price Highway. A $40 million UK grant has been secured for the paving and the lining of the coastal road and construction of new bridges. Under this same grant, the Philip Golson Highway will be improved between Orange Walk and Corozal. This government continues to work for the development of Belize. Your vision, our mission.
Government investment in sporting and recreational facilities countrywide continues under the Belize Infrastructure Limited. In the Cayo District, the Victor Galvez Recreational Park, the Falcon Field Basketball Court, and the Santa Elena Football Field are all completed and being enjoyed by the community. The Benquevejo Marshallek Football Stadium is under construction and residents are eagerly anticipating its completion. In Dangriga, the upgrading of the Carl Ramos football field is complete and ready for matches, while the construction of the Dangriga indoor court and multipurpose facility is well underway. In Punta Gorda, the residents are already enjoying the upgraded Toledo Union football field, while the PG indoor court and multipurpose facility is progressing on schedule. The government is committed to building vibrant communities. Your vision, our mission, the government of Belize.
The United Nations Multi-Country Sustainable Development Framework was officially launched in Belize on December 7th at a ceremony in Belize City. The framework strives to achieve poverty reduction, protection of nature, and better access to justice within a 5-year period from 2017 to 2021. In his remarks, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Honorable Wilfred Ellerington, expressed his gratitude to the United Nations for their continued support to Belize.
Given the effectiveness of the previous UN country program, the government of Belize looks forward with anticipation to the continued partnership with the various UN agencies in helping us to ensure that no Belizean is left behind. On behalf of the government and people of Belize, therefore, I would like to assure you, UN agencies, of our continued and total support for your program and for your commitment to the next stage of the implementation of this UNMSDF, the 2017-2020 Multi-Country Sustainable Development Framework. The UN has long been one of Belize's leading partners for development and has been at the forefront in helping to advance the economic and social well-being of all Belizeans. My only complaint and quarrel with the United Nations, really, and the agencies in Belize is that they do not publicize more what they are doing, because the truth is that without their assistance, we could not function.
The Sustainable Development Framework will target 4 areas: health, poverty reduction, climate change and resilience, and citizen security and justice. December 2nd, 2016 marked a very important day in the growth of the agricultural sector of both Belize and Mexico. The Minister of Agriculture, along with officials from the Belize Agricultural Health Authority, BAHA, and the International Regional Organization for Plant and Animal Health, OIRSA, inaugurated a new quarantine facility at the Corozal northern border. Here's more.
Belizeans travel to and from Mexico diurnally. With them, they often bring souvenirs, clothes, and some, without even knowing, bring pests. These pests that are brought into the country can have deleterious effects on our agriculture and our people. This is why Minister of Agriculture Honorable Godwin House saw the importance of establishing an advanced quarantine facility that will significantly reduce the risk of pests being transported from Mexico to Belize. Honorable Godwin Hall spoke further about the importance of the quarantine facility.
The bugs that would travel from Mexico into Belize and the bugs that would travel from Belize into Mexico we had to cooperate at the same time so we could catch them going or coming. I have always said, and I said to Dr. Carranza when I met him, that although we are different countries, we are one area. The last time I checked as Minister of Immigration, I did not see any of the bugs or the vampire bats or the mealybugs checking in with immigration. And so it is very, very important that a quarantine facility be established to ensure the safety and health of our plants, our animals, and of course, which leads to the safety and health of our peoples. The Ministry of Agriculture has set about a very clear and definitive program for its growth, and it is headed by the concept of plant and animal health and safety. And so Baja is ranking at the top of our push to expand our agricultural development. As we looked over the years at some of the problems we had in sugar, recently in shrimp, we've had it in citrus for a long going time, we've had some problems in coconuts and other of our products, we see the importance of trying to ensure that these commodities remain as best as possible disease-free.
Instead of the tedious manual process usually used, vehicles can now easily drive through the facility and be sprayed entirely to quarantine any pests that may accompany travelers. And for those who may choose not to follow the requirements of quarantine and engage in what we call contraband, the minister left a very strong warning.
I must sound a message and a warning. It is both an encouragement and a warning to those who would try to circumvent this area and the facilities we have here. Those persons who insist on trading in what we call contraband. First of all, it is damaging to our national development, to our economy, and to our progress if you introduce, because of a small gain, if you introduce some debilitating disease into our system, simply because you looked at the small gain and tried to circumvent the proper requirements of passage and quarantine. And I can assure you that the gain will be short-lived, because we will step up the vigilance, as persons as late as this week have found out who tried to bring some bulls and circumvent the area. Baja is going to fine you and fine you heavily. And the customs is going to fine you and fine you heavily. And the product will be confiscated if you do not follow the requirements of quarantine. And I want to also sound the warning that the Prime Minister and the entire cabinet of Belize is unified on this mission. And there is going to be no official you can call to help you if you're caught by customs, if you're caught by Baja, if you're caught by immigration. Call no one. You will have to pay the price.
As the formalities ended, representatives from Orissa, Baja, and Honorable Godwin House cut the ribbon and declared the quarantine facility officially open, and any bugs that may encounter it officially in trouble. For Belize Now, I am Janelle Rodriguez.
After the break, our segment In Case You Missed It. Don't go anywhere.
Notice the residents of rural communities in Orange Walk and Corozal districts. If you value your health and your children's health, you will dispose of your garbage only at approved sites. The disposal of garbage at any other location is illegal, and if caught, you can be fined up to $5,000. If you don't get caught, you can still suffer health impacts caused by these illegal sites, because illegal dump sites harbor pests such as rodents, possums, and mosquitoes that carry diseases. These can transmit those diseases to you and your children. In addition, the garbage you throw away illegally can contaminate water bodies near your community. The same water bodies you might use for recreation or other purposes. Only with your help can the Department of Environment ensure that Belize's development is safe for present and future generations. You can also contact your local village councils or Belize Solid Waste Management Authority for more information. The Department of Environment thanks you for your help.
7 days a week, 24 hours a day, always on the alert. A disciplined, well-trained military machine we can all be proud of. The Belize Defense Force. Be proud. Be Belizean. Shoulder to shoulder with the BDF.
The government of Belize, through the Belize Infrastructure Limited, inaugurated the Santa Elena Sports Complex on Sunday, November 26th. The facility, amounting to $2.5 million, houses a recreational football pitch surrounded by a concrete walking track, a competition field, public restrooms, lockers, fencing, parking, ticketing booth, concession space, and a covered basketball facility with proper lighting and bleachers. The inauguration was hosted by Area Representative Honorable Rene Montero, who mentioned in his remarks how elated he is to have delivered on his promise to the people of the Cayo District.
So I stand here before you, proud that I have delivered on my promise to improve and upgrade the sporting facilities here in Santa Elena. The name was chosen for this facility is the Santa Elena Sports Complex. And I must say that the name is appropriate because it is a testimony for whom this sports facility was built for. That is, ladies and gentlemen, it was built for the people of Santa Elena.
What we must ensure, my friends, is that now that these facilities are here, that we use them to develop our young people, to develop the various sporting disciplines for which they were built, and also to use them to make sure that there is income generation so that all the citizens of the area which these facilities serve will benefit.
After the ceremony, crowds filled the bleachers of the new facility to watch an inaugural game between BVDC Verdes and Belmopan Bandits. The Santa Elena Sports Complex is now the third and final facility to be delivered to the Twin Towns by the government under the execution of Belize Infrastructure Limited. Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Velasquez of the Belize Defense Force was a recipient of a Silver Medal Award from the Central American Armed Forces Conference, CFAC, on Wednesday, November 30th, 2016, during its meeting in El Salvador. According to a press release issued on December 7th, the award is in recognition of Velasquez's meritorious participation and contribution to the greater cooperation of the armies of the Central American region. The CFAC was created in 2007 and has as its mission the promotion of a permanent and systematic effort of cooperation, coordination, and mutual support among the member armed forces. And that's it for this edition of Belize Now. Thanks for tuning in. If you want to provide feedback or send in your comments, please feel free to email us at info@pressoffice.gov.bz or visit our Facebook page and let us know what you think. We look forward to hearing from you. Have a great week. Until next time.